Hi everybody, I apologize that my layout for my sports show is up on the left from my other YouTube channel, and I know it's been a while since we've talked here on Corrupted about Star Wars. Many of you maybe have subscribed due to the Star Wars thrashing review that I gave it, and I talked about how the agenda was very clear in Star Wars. And you know that I can be an honest person about it too, because I'm somebody who was always a liberal and on the left. And I saw that party slowly deteriorate, and it probably never was a good place to be anyway, because I don't like the party systems in this country. I hate parties. I hate groups. I hate when people formulate groups and form groups, because then they always attack the same thing and the same people. They never open their minds, and neither side ever do. They don't open their minds, you know. If there's somebody I would side with, one of the people I would side with is Jesse Ventura. Maybe some of you like him, maybe some of you don't like him, but I find myself mostly, a lot of the times, agreeing with Jesse Ventura, although sometimes, you know, he does, maybe go off the deep end or perhaps grab onto things. But the important thing about him is that he opens your mind up a little bit, that he asks questions. I don't know if he's always right. He probably isn't. Thank God he isn't, probably, but if there was, But anyway, let's get into Star Wars, the thing that we're here for. I hope you guys subscribe if you're new to the channel. I'm going to be doing a whole hell of a lot more commentaries like this, and you guys on my Patreon have made it possible for me to do videos on all my channels, including here on Corrupted Entertainment. Patreon.com/Joe Cronin Show. We have over 300 patrons now, big-time support. Compared to 70, which we're at last year at this time. 300 is amazing. Mark Hamill appears to be done with Star Wars. I mean, based on the comments he's given, it's hard to tell with Mark Hamill, because he has been just coated and toted and touted around by Kathleen Kennedy in Star Wars. There are so many examples of him saying something that he feels, and Kathleen Kennedy stepping over him to correct him or to change the tone that he was driving in an interview or at a presentation or an appearance. It's almost unbelievable. Blame where blame is due. Unraveling is spelled with only one L, not two. When will Twitter offer an edit option? Someone just tweeted that out towards Mark Hamill, but it appears that Mark Hamill is done, and I don't know how I feel. I mean, I don't know what to tell you, you know. I think they made a huge mistake. There are so many mistakes going on here. I think they're doing a great job of... I will say this. I'll say this about the Star Wars franchise right now in Disney. They do appear to be doing a great job of turning anything negative into something sort of positive in a way, but like doing it in a way that most people or many people just don't even realize it. Right, I would say 70% of the Star Wars universe or fans, be that casual, younger, whatever audience is, like they don't even think about any of this stuff. It's really about 30% of the audience that's fired up or that sees what's going on. I believe. I think. I don't have real numbers. I don't know if that's true. But if you were to know what was going to happen with Carrie Fisher, you may not have had Mark Hamill go out the way he went out in the last movie. And at the end of Last Jedi, you're left with basically characters that all these women are in charge of everything, you know what I mean? And then Hodo or whatever kills herself or sacrifices herself, so she is gone. But you got Rose, you got all these problems. You got Carrie Fisher's character who, she can't come back. What are they going to do with Carrie Fisher in the next movie? I don't know. So you have that major problems. Luke is gone. The only original member left is Leia, and the person who plays her isn't alive anymore. So they really, I 100% believe they're going with the time jump thing. Especially with the way the movie ended on such kind of normal terms. If they go with the time jump, that will allow them to make Kylo Ren really just be a psycho. Because at this point, he's pretty much gone. He's not going to turn back. I like that. There were things in Last Jedi that I liked. I liked that they sort of did solve this problem of Kylo Ren was an apprentice to Snoke. Snoke's really the bad guy. But in the end, it's like, well, we're not going to do with Kylo Ren what we did with Vader in the last series, where Kylo Ren is going to somehow be redeemed or come back. So, maybe I suppose what they could have done was either in the second movie or in the third movie at some point, Kylo Ren could actually sacrifice himself to save somebody and say that, going out saying like, I did a lot of bad things and I screwed up, or I made huge mistakes, and this is the only way. This is the one thing I can do to correct it. And then he dies, and then the movie continues, and then the end is they're fighting Snoke. That could have been done. You could have really built Snoke up to be this crazy bad guy, but it seemed that everybody was so interested in Adam Driver and Kylo Ren that. It does make sense that now he is the guy. There is no one else. You know what I mean? Even Hux, because that Hux guy is just a joke. I really wish that he wasn't such a joke, because the reason why I'm upset about Hux is, and I'll talk about Mark Hamill again in a second, but the reason why I'm upset about Hux going back to Star Wars is, even though it was funny to make him funny, and he is a funny seeming guy, and they needed some comedy, I get it. The problem is, every time, I can't even remember the old generals' names in the old Star Wars with Vader, but they were older, seasoned, strong male presence, and they seem wow, these guys are brutal, and they're smart and they're tactical, and they seem like they've been through wars. General Hux seems like a douchebag, like a young idiot douchebag. Like a spoiled rich douchebag who's somehow in power because of his dad somehow or something. But now he's a comedic relief on top of that. Now he's a joke. He's like a funny 80s bully character that's an idiot. And to me, it drags Kylo Ren down, because Kylo Ren comes on the screen with Hux. You're almost introducing this guy who's supposed to be super serious bad Kylo Ren, and now he's standing next to this goofball. And it actually hurts Kylo Ren, I think. So, I mean, honestly, I really hope that, man, they almost got to get rid of General Hux, because they had a few generals on the other ships and stuff like that, commanders, whatever they are, on some of the other ships, and those guys seem like badasses that would be in charge. But Hux is a buffoon, and they need to get rid of him, or he's going to drag down Kylo Ren in the next movie. But anyway, let's get back. I'm completely just going off the rails here. Let's go back to Luke, right? And guys, if you haven't hit that sub button down below, hit that sub button. I got a lot of podcasts I want to do, and we're looking at having a studio at some point in the next couple months. And if we do that, I'm going to be looking at doing multiple shows a day for hours, and providing content up the ass. I'll just be honest. But I appreciate you guys being here. Please leave a like and a comment. Now, Mark Hamill says he's done probably with this series. And that could be, you can't really take anything seriously. It's all with a grain of salt, right? But this guy tried to warn us. I feel like Mark Hamill is a guy who wants to be real. He just wants to be real with everybody. He has a very tough time faking. And despite the fact that he's involved in Hollywood, he has a tough time following that line. He did do it. He did what he had to do. But you can see the anguish in his face. He wants to tell, he wants to tell how he feels about things. And there were some ideas that he said that he wished that had happened that I didn't agree with, and that's why actors don't always make the stories, really. They're just supposed to be there to act, and that's about it. But there were many points that I thought he was right on, and I couldn't believe they did certain things. If you were to just tweak Last Jedi a little bit in certain areas, we'd be fine. But going forward with General Hux and Rose and characters like that, it's just so eye-rolling. It's unbelievable. And for me, Luke was one of the most interesting parts of the last movie. And I feel like they are in some trouble now, because they are left simply with Rey, Superwoman Rey, and Kylo Ren, who's likable, sort of, but there's nobody left, and it's a very big problem. They're going to have to really, it almost feels like Force Awakens. They're going to end up, these movies are going to end up seeming like more like standalones on their own, almost like situations, because everything that you thought was going to continuate from the first one, or from episode 8 or whatever it is, episode 7 rather, everything that you thought was going to continue, much of it did not. So you didn't get a whole hell of a lot of answers in many ways. So it was like almost a minor reboot of what you saw. And going forward here into the third movie of this trilogy, you have no Carrie Fisher to act. Mark Hamill's gone. You know, there's Rey and there's Kylo Ren and there's no Snoke, and it almost feels like there's going to be a time jump, a big time jump perhaps. So it almost feels like they're going to be sort of retelling another story. Like all three of these movies are going to end up being related to each other, but not necessarily continuing so fluently like the previous trilogies, if that makes any sense. Although I suppose the prequels, the remakes, or the prequels, the relaunch, episodes 1, 2, and 3 would probably be the most relatable, because the first one has a big time jump to the 2 and 3. Episodes 1, and then there's a big jump to episodes 2 and 3. But, you know, the characters all continue and develop. It's a sort of a very fluid, continuing story, despite the one time jump. But these movies feel much more discombobulated, and I think they will. And in a way, that's, you know, it's different for Star Wars, I think, because I think all the other Star Wars, the other two Star Wars trilogies, were very concentrated on a certain story. But I mean, I guess the one common thing here is Rey and Kylo Ren. I suppose it's their story. At this point, it's really about Kylo Ren and Rey, but it still feels like they were the sort of the backdrop or the secondary part of the story. You really wanted to see Luke face off with Kylo Ren. I know that's crazy. The whole point was supposed to be Daisy Ridley, you know, Rey facing Kylo Ren. But after Luke didn't raise a hand to Kylo Ren and then he's gone, it just felt like they had, like, he was like, see you around, kid, and then he took off, and that was like an homage to Han Solo. But it felt like they were supposed to meet up again. It feels like I want to see Luke Skywalker take on Kylo Ren again. I almost don't care about Rey. At the end of that movie, she's sort of like the helper, the side piece who moves the rocks from the wall and everything. It didn't feel like she was the focal point there at the end of the story. And for all the crap I gave the movie about putting over women and putting over all these stupid agenda points, you know what I mean? And there was really no men involved that were smart or whatever. The one guy that was there was Luke, and he was prominent. He's gone, though, apparently. But it's like, I want to see him still fight Kylo Ren. I feel like that's really bad that's what I want to happen. So they're going to have to work really hard in the next movie to really build up Rey, that she has to face Kylo Ren. And unfortunately, it would have been nice to establish that Kylo Ren was almost unstoppable at some point, and that's what they were facing in this third movie, but they really don't do that because, you know, Luke Skywalker is able to deal with him, but now Luke's gone, but he was more powerful, it seemed, and more clever. Maybe Rey isn't, but she's been super powered. She bested Luke herself at some point. So it feels like she's just Superwoman, and nobody can beat her either. In a way, it's very confusing. It's going to be so tough, I think, for J.J. Abrams to do this the right way. Because J.J., for me, recently, to me, has been playing things safe in many aspects. He's a very play it safe. Even Star Trek. Look at the Star Trek movies. I just feel like those movies have been very like, let's play it safe and do this. 7 out of 10. Great job. You know what I mean? That's it. 7 out of 10. Very good. Popcorn. Yay. You know, okay, the movie's done. You know, but I want risk, which was what Rian Johnson did, but I don't want the absurdity that Rian Johnson brought to Star Wars. And I want the imagination and the the familiarity of J.J. Abrams telling a Star Wars story, but I also want something different. So if you could somehow fuse the two guys and grab something else and put it all together, maybe you could have a great Star Wars movie, and maybe it will be the best one of the three. I don't know. I will say that if they can make the best one of the three next, if J.J. Abrams makes the best one of the three next, that will possibly have saved the trilogy, because you'll have the first one that sets up most things, seemingly. Then you'll have the second one that knocks down all your aspirations and has a couple of pretty damn cool moments, and a couple of roll your eyes moments. But then if the third movie is a giant payoff, well, then maybe you've saved the trilogy and saved Star Wars. But if episode 3 is more of the same from 2 or more of the same from 1, or it seems forced, or it's a lackluster, or if it's a play it safe J.J. Abrams 7 out of 10, then this trilogy, unfortunately, we're all going to look back and say, man, Force Awakens was the best one. And that, to me, is shocking. I'll see you guys later. Hope you guys subscribe down below to Corrupted Entertainment. My name is Joe Cronin. You can find me on Twitter @RealCronin. You can also find Corrupted on Twitter @CorruptedPod, @CorruptedPod. We usually do podcasts on here that are very shock jock-like, mature audiences only. So if you like that sort of just banter and also diaper talk and stuff and whatever, then you're going to enjoy this. And if you want more videos like what I just did, please let me know. Please comment. Please support on patreon.com/Joe Cronin Show. You're supporting Corrupted as well by going there. Or go to joecroninshow.net if you want to make a one-time support donation. Everything we do is up to the listeners and the fans. The ad revenue is dead, so I'm doing this because of you guys, and you know that. Thanks for listening. Leave your comments below. I'll be reading them, and more videos and more comments to come, more podcasts to come. And leave any criticisms, comments, or suggestions for me down below. I'll be listening. We'll see you next time.